In looking at the third district specifically, what do you think are the top three issues or campaign issues that you would like to see?
Well, I could say jobs, 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 but it's not. It's not that simple. I mean, I do think there was a recent report out of John Stafford's Institute, IPFW, and it looks like, which is not really surprising, but our best assets are what we already have here. If there are businesses already in place, they expand, they bring more job opportunities. And so, not to say we shouldn't be chasing new industries to come into this area, but we definitely need to support, bolster, and encourage those businesses that are here to expand. But along with that is we need an educated workforce, and we're slipping a little bit in that area. We need to have more. We have a lower college educated rate than a lot of other communities that are attracting expansions to jobs, and that is something critically important. And those that we have here, like the International Harvester, are on the bubble in terms of whether or not they will stay long term. And those are great jobs with the engineers and everything. So that's sort of a dual. That's an economic development / economy jobs kind of an issue. And I obviously, I don't know if it's an issue here in terms of people's health care, because I think we are uniquely located in terms of the health care coverage and the quality that people receive. But I think that the health care issue, the bill that's been passed, will result in economic losses. I just talked to people over the weekend, small businesses, who the health savings account amount has been dropped, so they're going to drop that, and they will throw their employees into the pool because they know their employees cannot afford the next deductible. They picked that plan because it was the lowest premium. I talked to another business owner. He said his premiums are going up and he will just have to not offer it because he knows his employees will not be able to pay. Others have talked about just paying the penalty and saying forget about it. And that is not a good solution at all. And that just is going to raise the debt, and that hurts everyone, including this district. So,
looking at education, just going back a little bit to education, how do you feel about tuition fees? What do you think is the core reason that it's kind of dropped off a little bit, the education?
I don't think it's the access to college. I mean, I think when you look at us, the United States versus other countries, we have much better access to college than other countries in terms of allowing many students the variety to get there. And there are lots of ways to pay. I mean, we may see more children, for example, graduating who stay here in IPFW instead of going away, but we have great institutions locally. I don't think it's that as much as the fact that children are ill-prepared. I mean, when 70% of the students at Ivy Tech are in remedial classes, which means they may or may not be high school graduates, but they are at that level and they're not capable of even starting at the community college level and then hopefully transferring to IPFW. So 70% are remediating so that they can prepare to take community college classes. If that statistic is correct, then that is a significant issue. So it's not the college level, it's the going backwards and how are we preparing them to get ready for college or a good job. Obviously not everybody needs to go to college, and there are all sorts of skill sets that this district particularly needs because we're a large manufacturing district. But we just need to give them the tools. And things like 21st century scholarship programs that we have, where any student who meets the poverty level at 8th grade and has a C and stays out of trouble through high school, it's all paid for when they go to college. Well, they don't have a very good retention rate in college either. So those are the kind of issues we got to work backwards. And on the federal level, I would be looking at those funding issues and things, but I don't think having nationalized curriculums is the answer as much as taking off the chokehold of schools so that they can be more entrepreneurial, if you will, in how they approach how to address these things. I mean, instead of just shifting principles around all the time to fit the requirements of if it's a failing school, we need to dig down deeper and say, okay, let's all be honest, these kids aren't doing it, they're going to need some extra help, and figure out how to do that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about No Child Left Behind, and what do you think about the job that the federal level that they've done so far with education?
I have a lot of friends who are teachers, not just in the Catholic schools, but in the public schools, and I think it depends on the type of student they teach. Teachers of students who have severe learning disabilities, obviously that's an issue for them because those students are not necessarily ever going to be capable of passing the I-STEPS or whatever the standardized test is in place. And that may not be their goal, to have a high school diploma at the end. But on the other hand, I've had friends who are teachers who have said, yes, it makes us all accountable. And it makes the school accountable because the teachers I know, they get it. They do whatever they can to get those kids to succeed. But I don't think they always have the administration support that they need, and I think some school districts are probably too top-heavy. And when you have students of all types in your classroom in terms of skills, emotional problems, personality disorders, and things like that, even if it's 20, which is a pretty nice-sized classroom, that can be very difficult. One over here has a full-time IA, one over here. I mean, I've had friends tell me those stories, and that is difficult. And I think that piece of No Child Left Behind probably should be addressed.
Mm-hmm.